Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. That company was one of the first AI generative companies that was formed in 2016 before the transformer models. We believe at GST that intellectual capacity is evenly spread, but opportunities are not. With that, I'd like to introduce an incredible team. Alex and Luke are here today. We're going to be talking about Amber and his journey, their journey. So how you doing today, guys?
Very good. Thank you for having
Very
me.
good, thank you.
So, Alex, tell me a little about your journey from Reciba University to becoming the co-founder of Amber.
Well, actually, it was quite a long journey. I started my business activities around 30 years ago. I was more about using my practical knowledge without having really the scientific background, but at some point I've decided that I have to get to know more about modern technologies, and this is how I found myself again in a university, studying with other interesting people in different age, younger than me, elder than me, but that was a brilliant time, honestly.
So, Luke, what about your background? Where are you today, by the way?
I'm in Montreal, in the Belle Province of Quebec.
It's interesting because on my show, I actually had Daniel, who's the CEO of Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, not too far from where you are, actually, in Quebec, I believe. But Daniel was on my show. I met him at a party down in Miami, and the fascinating story about Cirque du Soleil, actually.
Okay, okay.
And so, what inspired you guys to enter the fintech and automotive industries specifically? What would drove you to do that?
I guess, well, I can start, and then I'm sure Alex will add to it. But I would say that we could see that in the enterprise, and especially on the evolution from telco to techco, entities, we could see that there was a lack of cost-effective access to AI. We could see AI was ramping up, but there was no really solutions that would be addressing the needs for SME and also for techcos. So we could see the ramification where Gen AI was coming up, but it was not addressing operational domains and operational values that would be necessary for any techcos or any enterprise. And we could see the gap that was actually building, and we wanted to address that. So this is why we got together, the three of us, to build a solution that will be a bio-inspired model, that will be AI, but that will not be, in the same entanglement as we could see with the Gen AI. So there's no, let's say, training and also inference loops. We believe in self-learning capabilities, and that's what we wanted to address, in a nutshell. Alex, if you want to add to it.
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, I've started my journey many years ago, and I've been in different industries. And last, I believe, almost 8 years, I'm dealing aside of other activities in fintech as well. And actually, I've been in that role of potential customer. Actually, different big companies, startups, but still with the same pain, looking around for some solutions which are affordable and doesn't require huge staff, big investments, something very simple which I can just put as a cup on my head and just continue my operations. And when I met Luke and our third partner, I've told them, guys, you have some brilliant ideas, but can we try to apply it on some smaller scale businesses, on the startups who are usually are having the same pain all around the world, having shortage of the funds, and can we create something for these kind of customers?
And so what? So where are you guys today? Do you have revenue today, or where are you in terms of revenue generation? And what stage is the company right now?
Well, we could say we could identify the stage where we are to be pre-seed. We have a prototype, we have a business plan, we've got everything, we've got the vision of the product, we also have the positioning of the product, but we have the prototype. So we're searching actively for investors to actually help us to translate the prototype into an MVP, a minimum viable product. And actually we have and this is something we have in common as well between Alex, Ishkan, and myself. So Ishkan is the CTO, is not with us today, but between the three of us, we actually have a very important level of experience in emerging markets, notably in Africa. So this is where we stand. We want to allow this product not to be available to only large companies or telcos. We want to really address small and medium businesses, exactly as Alex was explaining. So this is where we are at the moment.
And so so where did you meet your third partner?
Wow, if you don't mind, Luca, I'll start. Guys were actually knowing each other for ages, but I met our third partner, Ishkan, in Uganda. I was there constructing different factories for recycling to improve the ecological situation of the country. And at some point, I've decided that aside of these activities, I want to look on something else, on something more, I would say, modern. And I found myself basically ruling one of the biggest local IT companies in the field of fintech. And we actually been working with a company where Ishwan was a CTO, and we had many meetings, like business meetings, and it turns to become a friendship. And at some point, he started to share his ideas, and I've said, "Listen, we have some pains as well. We have thousands of agents running around the field with POSs, and we have a huge problem of connectivity. Can we have a look on that?" And this is how actually I would say we got a perfect combination of the some sort of business relations plus the friendship, because as you know, most of the expats, they live in the bubbles, in the circles, and they are forced to communicate a lot. And this is how actually we became friends, and staying friends for many years already.
Well, so let's talk about, so with Payway, what were your biggest challenges and opportunities you encountered in scaling those fintech up? I mean, going to East Africa is not an easy, well, it may be dangerous actually, depending upon where you are exactly. But how did you face those challenges when you were going to Africa, East Africa?
I have to say that before my first trip to Africa many years ago, actually, my first trip was in 2015, I believe. The only I was aware of, speaking of Africa, was something from the books or Discovery Channel, nothing more. And actually, my first day there, I just arrived knowing no one, having no relations there, and I had basically to look around what is happening. And then at some point, I've noticed, well, listen, but this world looks like our country in 90s, where we just separated from USSR. And basically, whatever happens here reminds me that time. And what I started, that I actually started to try to copy paste whatever we had in my country and try to use it in Uganda, basically. different kind of business approaches we've been using here. I found that they're meeting the same problems where I already had a solution. And the moment when I joined the fintech project, I said, okay, it looks like for 99% of cases, I have a solution which I can bring from back home. And basically, this is how I've managed by implementing a new culture, still with the mix of the local culture and local habits, implement new technologies, simplify the work of people in the back office, and basically implement new services which became quite famous among the customers.
No, that's interesting. We do a lot of work in Africa, by the way. GSD's down in fact, I'm going to be down and speaking at one of the largest banks. One of the wealthiest guys, actually the wealthiest guy in Africa's brothers, a friend of mine that lives down in Palm Beach. He plays polo sometimes. He's one of the oil guys there, but really good friend, actually. Anyhow, so given your expertise in digital transportation, what do you think are the critical elements companies should prioritize to ensure a smooth and effective transition in this digital world to these platforms?
Yes. Well, as I was alluding a little bit about, the difference in our approaches regarding AI, it's really, AI to me, it's about intelligence. So intelligence, it's about self-learning. If you take the analogy of, if I bring you to my house and if I put you in front of my window, you're gonna have to figure out how to open it and close it. So you will not change your brain in order to understand or figure out how to use my window. So what it means that an artificial intelligence platform should be able to learn by itself. It shouldn't be trapped into a loop of learning and inference. And this learning and inference loop is actually costing a lot of money. So if you think of it, we want to apply simple recipes to AI. We want to address the self-learning approach. We want also to address operational domains, overlay networking, cloud and edge, security, and also service assurance, and apply AI capabilities between these different domains, but allow the communication between the different domains. So cross-domain communication between AI components, which doesn't exist today. So, and naturally, what we want to do is to make it cost-effective. So it can be consumed, it can be applied into small, medium businesses. And that is the core of what we want to address. And this is a major difference between what we're planning to do and what Gen AI or agentic AI are doing.
So, what do you think? What have you found most essential, Alex, in essentially being successful across varied markets? So, when you were in Caucasus, the Baltics, East Africa, I mean, they're all different, diametrically different. So, how do you go down through and adapt to those cultures to be able to understand how to sell better, how to service those customers better?
This is quite interesting question, and probably the best answer here is coming from from our team. As you know, Luc lives in Canada, and he's well familiar with the world here there. But he been many years in Africa as well, and been working with Africa. So Ishan, he's been working in Africa as well, but now he lives in Italy. But he is originally from Armenia. So basically, it's a native country for him. Again. On my side, I really spent many years traveling between the countries, working in one of the biggest worldwide companies. I had to travel a lot, so I had to get to know different cultures, different markets. Then, as I've said, I've spent around 10 years in Africa, and of course, I know as well my own region, which is Baltic countries. So combining all this knowledge.
Well, and even the Baltic countries. I remember when went to Latvia, Lithuania, to Estonia, they were dramatically different, right? Besides, I like Yermala a lot better than some of the coastlines from the other places. Yermala is a nice place, actually, really nice, and especially if you ride your bike up on the railroad tracks up there to go to Yermala from Riga. What a thing to do in the summertime. But anyhow, uh, how did you? So the insights you've gained from automotive and fintech, and what kind of insights for entrepreneurs who are out there that watch the show from around the world? What kind of insights did you gain? Like, what is the key to be successful in markets? So let's just take automotive and fintech. What are the keys to success? What do you need to do to be able to really understand those markets and be successful?
I would say it's like everywhere. You have to listen for your customers. You have to understand their pains. And sometimes you have to even study their backyards, if I may say so, because if we talk about the automotive business where I've spent really many years, I can tell you sometimes the meeting with the customer started not from his office, but from his backyard. So basically, you have to analyze the customer to know better his needs even before you are meeting the business representatives. Because sometimes, or I can even say quite often, you can see that the business owners, they think that they know what is happening there outside of their office in the backyard, but the reality is different. And you have to talk to a team, you have to talk to the business owners to understand, and then you put this puzzle together and you can come back with a solution maybe which they haven't even expected or considered. And I think if we jump back to what we are trying to create is actually something what they really need. And it's not even, I would say, so big secret for them that they need it, because in some cases it's even something what the law is requiring. If you are familiar with all these PCI DSS and other things, you've probably heard about the DORA, which is must have for the banks. But several years ago, European Community have introduced as well NIS and NIS2 requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And what the small companies can do with that? Probably if they don't find something similar to what we create, probably nothing, just face the complications caused by the penalties coming from officials.
You know, one of the things you guys have done is you've really supported in women's empowerment and diversity in business, right? And when you deal with these different locations around the world, you have to be culturally sensitive, right? There's certain things you do and don't do within those cultures. How do you guys adapt to it? These changes in culture, the cultural sensitivities that are important, so you don't upset somebody.
Well, there's also some level of similarities that exist between emerging, regions. I had the chance to be exposed to APAC, Africa quite a lot, APAC also quite a lot, LATAM, but also, Eastern Europe. And what you can see is actually the dynamism in this market. Exactly as Alex explained, you need to come with solutions that are extremely dynamic, that are really unexpected sometimes, but also find a way to identify the pain points that they have claimed that they have, but also anticipate the curve. What would be happening in the near future, and identify how your solution can be future proof, because things are moving so fast in these regions that you need it to be extremely flexible. And as you pointed out, Gary, there's also the notion of respect, and also, understand the culture. If you go in Japan, if you go in South Korea, if you go in Vietnam, if you go in Uganda, you go in Cote d'Ivoire, you're going in Senegal, this is not the same culture. Nonetheless, in emerging market, this is still the same. People are extremely dynamic, but at the same time, they expect you to be aware of the culture and to respect the culture. Otherwise, you can't even breach, through the essential core of the professional people. They don't let you in, so to speak.
So they don't let you in, but sometimes they're a little bit forgiving because they know you're going to make mistakes because you don't understand, and they correct you, right? They try to tell you what's the right thing to do. Um, yeah, it's amazing. So, what do you think? What do you guys think is the technological trends, or what's most interesting for you that and most exciting, particularly in fintech and automotive? What kind of things are out there, and you're saying, "Wow, this is unbelievable. This is going to change everything." And let's relate it back to Amber.
Alex, if you want to start, or
Yeah, you can
well,
start.
well, our view is really now targeting into AI, but what we see is the conundrum that is happening at the moment. There are a lot of discussions around AI and the way it should be, evolving, and where it's evolving, it's extremely uh, clouded. It's not really clear, how we see things are evolving, because there are multiple elements that are colliding. For example, if you think about, as I was saying before, I was mentioning the loops of, training and inference. And there is always that question of data sovereignty. And then, for example, if you trapped into this loop of you don't have any self-learning, but you have to be pre-trained and and put the inference on the application, then in that case, where do you train the model? Where's the data? Is the data is leaving the country, or do you have any federated training locally? And this is always the question, because if you want to deliver a model that is specialized for given for given customer, then in that case they need to share with you some critical data sets. Where will that data go? So this is a big question. So you have GDPR, you have CCSA, you have all these regulations that are taking place. So in that case, if you are trapped into this inference and also training, you have a big issue. And at the same time, if you look at the dependence on GPU, to me, it's a big problem, because the GPU is really consuming a lot of energy. We're talking about 7 to 1,000 watts per GPU, without even talking about the server itself that will host the GPU. So in that case, you have a big trouble. So we believe that we have a model that is actually working on CPU. It's not dependent on the GPU capability. You can use commoditized CPU in order to create the model. So we believe this is where we can make it cost effective enough in order to tap into emerging markets. So you imagine that? So we can bring AI to emerging market, to small enterprise, and we can scale that to large enterprise, either in emerging markets or developed markets. And that's what we believe is going to be a game changer. Alex, if you want to add to it.
Yeah, I'd like to add about the power consumption. We recently had a discussion with Luke. What actually, what are the key problems of the, let's call it classic AI, or basically what we know about AI? It's indeed the power consumption, which comes as well, not from just feeding the server infrastructure, but as well to cool it down. And I've said that for me, it sounds a bit funny that instead of finding the ways how to consume less on the key or main process, companies are discussing how to optimize the cooling. So they are talking about technologies. How to cool the infrastructure with the oil and all these technologies. So basically, I'm again stuck here. Are you saying it's a green technology? How? Okay, you are going to consume less power, but what you are going to do with this oil? And oil again comes from where? It's not unlimited resource.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, the model what we are trying to build is actually about a totally different approach. So indeed, it can be green because it's for the primary or for the main activities. It consumes much less power. If you don't mind, I can compare it with Italian grandma of my friend and my mom, for instance. My mom is cooking only when I'm calling and saying, "Hey, I'm coming over." Where the grandma of my friend is cooking all the time because she is expecting everyone to come at any moment, and all of them has to be hungry.
You're
And can you
making me
imagine
hungry
the
just
difference
talking
between?
about it.
I love the analogy.
So you can imagine what's the difference in the resource consumption in case of Italian granny and my mom. So same here.
Less energy.
Less energy.
Yep.
Listen, guys, we're coming up to the top of the show. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Well, we believe that AI it's not a only platform vision. It's a combination of platforms, but the main element that we want to share with the audience is that the conundrum of training and inference is not a loop that is a necessity. There are other ways to consider AI, and we believe that the platforms can coexist altogether. But at the same time, if you want to tackle edge challenges and everything, you need a model that will be extremely lightweight, and that could be applicable to any kind of size. It could be extremely scaled, or it can be extremely limited. So in that case, you need to have a very cost effective platform in order to deliver such solutions. And obviously we are reachable through LinkedIn. So Alex.
Yeah, I just want to add on top what you have said that according to my understanding, neuromorphic AI is not just an evolution. It's basically it's a revolution. We are just moving to something fundamentally new. I would say imagine the world before the internet and right after. So basically, implementing such a technologies we are working on is going to basically bring a lot of new things, new possibilities for everyone, for small and medium companies, and for the telcos as well. Because it's not a surprise, or it's not a secret that all of them are looking for the ways how to create new revenue streams, and you can offer, I don't know, more packages. You can offer TV free of charge or whatever comes on the top of the traffic. But in the end, it's about the price war. But the technology we are building is actually giving the options to add more services. And maybe one day they wake up seeing that basically the traffic is a very small part of their revenue, and other services which became possible using our product actually is creating much more money for them. So basically, it's a product can be which can be used for by everyone, like naturally everyone.
Yeah, that's great. Well, guys, thank you. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules. If you want to hang on after the show, we can talk for a few minutes. And thanks to all my audience for joining one more time. GSD presents Top Global Startups. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I will be back to you again next week with another exciting edition. Have a great weekend and enjoy yourself. Thanks, everybody.